Charge here states coldly that the Paragon is dead and everyone knows it, that him and his men hold back the Darkspawn from advancing further, and that my quest is a fruitless endeavor. So we charge across the bridge and take out swarms of Darkspawn, and he comes up with his men and goes, "Yeah, you fight good, but you're still an idiot." Thanks, brother. So it's more delving, which goes on and on. I mean, the setting is cool at least. Eventually, we stumble upon a survivor from Bronca's house who has gone completely insane. She mutters a vague recalling of events.
You look pretty. Go forth to victory.
Stating that the men went off and died in battle when they became aware that they were corrupted by the Blight. She then says that the women weren't hurt physically, but that they were forced to feed on the Blight in some way or another before presumably transforming into something. It's hard to make out exactly what she's saying, but she does make it clear that she's been fighting off completely losing her mind this whole time. She does mention that Blanca has already seen the Blight, something of that nature, before she runs screaming off further into the tunnel. I do have a slight issue with all of this, and it kind of makes sense given that this was never an option. But Ogren has remained silent for the past handful of conversations with others down here. He's not yelling about the relevance or demanding answers or pleading with anyone. He's just quiet. I kind of wish I had brought Gloriana so far just because she could at least have picked these chests open down here. As you continue this goose chase, more is revealed about what these people had to go through. Like I said, the men died immediately, but then the Darkspawn forced the women to eat their loved ones. One of them in particular wound up tearing off her husband's face and drinking his blood, which is certainly an image. As this woman continued to eat the flesh of the dead, her body grew and changed, turning gray with blight until she had fully transformed, only to begin producing more Darkspawn. What you've just heard is the reproduction process of the Darkspawn. They need living females to force the Blight into, corrupting them until they become a broodmother, which produce more Darkspawn. You want to see what a broodmother looks like?
Be warned. The Terrans flooded our tunnels with lava.
Wait, no, not that. Jesus Christ, dude. I am never gonna get used to that scene. But yeah, these things are, man. You know what the best part about all of this is? If they had just simply surprised us with this thing as we rounded the corner, yeah, it would have been off-putting, but it would have been more of a what the fuck moment rather than a moment of horror. The way the dialogue was paced so perfectly as you crawl your way through these sacks of burbling flesh bags, describing the process of someone becoming a broodmother, God, what a fantastic way to introduce something so grotesque. Hats off to BioWare on this bit, they absolutely crushed it. The broodmother fight itself is tough but fair. Morrigan still isn't as much of a healer yet in my party as she is a controller entity. And you can't control much.
So Tokrin sent you? He's an excellent scout. I'm not sure what I'd do without him. I'll sign your recruitment letter, but what we really need is someone at the crossroads. Take this signed recruitment letter to the crossroads. Zergra Darkthorn, curse her hide, is in charge there. She's a nasty shaman who will talk your head in circles before she lets you do anything useful. Thrall is convinced she's something special, but I'm not so sure. You'll just have to decide for yourself, pup.
For
the whole
Huh. Oh yeah, Bronca's a complete bitch. She dismissively notes her husband, stating that he's a useless drunk and that I must be his newest errand boy sent down here for her. She's clearly obsessed with getting to the anvil, which is apparently locked tight behind tons of traps that were invented by the former Paragon himself. This means that she doesn't care about returning to the surface or who sits on the throne.
It is vital that a warrior's weapon is one of quality. And if there is an orc who can craft quality weapons, then that orc is Thungrim Firegaze. He is a hermit who dwells atop the hills east of the crossroads. If you seek a weapon warrior, then you should seek Thungrim. To find him, first travel to the crossroads to the west, then strike east into the hills. His camp is high on a hilltop.
Not ready yet. That ability isn't ready yet. I can't do that
yet. Weird answer. The next stretch of road has Bronca rocking us down to one path. which will then play them while fighting Baby Darkspawn, all while she's monologuing at us. So I may have given her the benefit of the doubt because it sounds like she may have always been like this. It really is hard to tell, especially when she goes on about using her own people as live bait to test the traps throughout the Anvil's outskirts. When they began to give up on her and insist that they return back to Orzammar, she allowed for them to be killed off and transformed by the Darkspawn so that she could then use the Darkspawn to test the traps instead, as a never-ending supply of test subjects. She's evil in the service of something noble. I need to admit that I can actually see the raw logic in her thinking. We press onward, fighting off golems and wading through a trap room filled with poison. At one point, we fight a boss consisting of these stone faces which rotate and spit out spirits. When a spirit is slain, it activates these 4 anvils. Sending the spirits from the anvils back into the stone faces to the mountains. It takes a few hits, 2 on each side, to silence the thing for good.
Not enough
it's an
rage.
awesome boss fight, enjoying quite a lot.
Rage.
And finally, we
Not
reach
enough
the end,
rage.
where the former Paragon stands, reincarnated as a golem. He begins speaking to me, telling me the story of how he came to be this way. You see, he did discover how to create these golems, but what he didn't tell anyone besides the king was living beings. At first, they only used dwarves who were willing, but then the king wanted more, and he forced the Paragon to use tons of unwilling sacrifices to create ever more golems.
Not enough
Paragon
rage.
refused to do it anymore. The king had his own apprentices fashion him into a golem instead. But what they didn't know was that a control rod was essential to making a golem obey without question. So the Paragon fully retained his personality as he got Full Metal Alchemisted into the Iron Golem. Soon after, he shut down the forge anyway, but was unable to destroy the anvil, since no golem is allowed to touch the thing. He implores me to help him destroy the anvil before Branka comes running in screaming to tell me not to. This is our major choice of the area. On one hand, you can help this twisted individual to create more golems on the sacrifice of others, using them to create soldiers with the strength of their
Not enough
These
rage.
golems will be immensely helpful against the Darkspawn at the cost of potentially innocent lives. But on the other hand, you can help to end this whole thing and prevent any other lives from being forced into golem servitude. And after weighing the options, I just can't help but side with the golem Karadin here. Branka's been on a warpath, and her staying here to create more golems would 100% result in innocents being sacrificed for this golem army. Maybe I'll see this being the way to go. I just can't do it.
Not enough
Morrigan, of
rage.
course, disapproves. But I have to contest this one because she's like, oh, think of the power of creation that you're foregoing. But it's like, freedom is the #1 priority. I'd like to be shoved into a golem and be made to obey. I actually get to tell her just that, and she only disapproves a little bit. Man, what a
Not
stubborn
enough
character.
rage.
Ogren obviously disapproves, but his dialogue says
I
otherwise.
need a target.
He calls his wife out for being so nutty about this whole ordeal, before fighting with me against her. The fight itself has us fighting more golems and Branka herself, who has some tricks up her
Too
sleeve
far
for the
away.
event. She does a bit of persuading before I go back to Karadin to ask what's next.
Not
The matter
enough
of the anvil
rage.
finally decided,
I
Karadin
can't
asked if
do
we'd
that
like a
yet.
boon from him before the anvil is destroyed. I asked Ogren what he would want, seeing as it's his wife that we killed to get here. Oddly enough, Ogren asks if Karadin can bring Branka back to life as a golem. I thought this was a strange request, but I guess definitely a human one. Karadin, of course, declined, saying that he wouldn't do it even if it were possible. So he makes us a crown instead for a king of our choosing, before we run up to the anvil and obliterate it once and for all. It's kind of weird that a single hammer strike from the anvil's hammer would destroy it. I mean, it's literally made for...
What can I do for you?
All right, adventurer. You want to earn your keep with the Horde? Well, there's plenty to do here, so listen close and do what you're told. I see that look in your eyes. Do not think I will tolerate any insolence. Thrall himself has declared the Horde's females to be on equal footing with you men. Disrespect me in the slightest, and you will know true pain. Your first prey will be easy. The plane striders to the east have been harassing our food supplies and have become a nuisance. Put down the plane striders and return to me with their beaks.
Farewell.
Loktar!
How may I aid you? Go in peace.
I'm out of range. Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage. That ability isn't ready yet. I need to get closer. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage.
My eyes have long dried out from staring into the forge's flame, but some things I can still see. I can see you want something. And if you found your way here, then I can guess what you desire.
I will give you a weapon, adventurer. But first you must aid me. The Razormanes to the northwest came into my camp a few nights past. They would not meet me in combat, but they know my eyes are bad. A few distracted me with snorts while others stole from me. The cowards. They took an iron chest, and within it were some forged steel bars. If you can recover them, then I will give you the weapon you seek. Search for the iron box within the Quilboar camps, and return with the forged steel bars.
Not enough rage.
initial reports are true, then the toxicity of these hearts could lead to further advances in our knowledge of poisons. This is a welcome delivery, adventurer. Your reward is well earned.
Straight.
rage. Not enough rage. Rage.
Pig. Farewell!
Look round. May your blades never go.
Zug zug. Go with honor. What do you need? Dabu.
What can I help you with? Dabu!
What do you need? Strength.
For getting hit with a hammer. But oh well, semantics I guess. Carradine then thanks us one last time before flinging himself into the lava below, finally bringing an end to his 1,000-year existence. When we return with the crown and choose Balin, he's crowned in a very flashy fashion before he stands up and orders the execution of Harrowbot.
You haven't lived until you've looked down on the world from the back of a Wind Rider.
By any naysayers. Again, I hate to admit it, but the guy's right. This might have been a different situation had the Darkspawn not been rising up, but as things stand, this is probably...
You find a satchel under the body of the Tauren. It is still gripped tightly in his arms as though he was trying to protect it while being attacked by the Trogs. Removing the satchel from his vice-like grip, you stow it with your own equipment and prepare to make your way out of the tunnels and back to Rahauro in Thunderbluff. Beneath the city of Orgrimmar, stout creatures known as Trogs started coming to the surface from deep below the lava-filled tunnels. In her ever-benevolence, Magatha sought to make peace with the creatures, but they turned on her diplomats, killing them. She will not allow such treatment of the Tauren people, and now consider the creatures a threat to all of the Horde. She asks that you put an end to this Trog threat, before it overwhelms the Horde from below. Find Ragefire Chasm, and destroy them all.
Not long ago, a shipment of silver was stolen from our guard tower. It was meant as payroll to the Crossroads guards, and we want that silver back. The strange thing is, we caught one of the thieves on the night of the theft, and it was a raptor. Unbelievable. I don't know what raptors would want with silver, but I don't care. I want the raptors dead so they won't steal from us again. Hunt raptors in the Barrens. Collect for me their heads.
Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage. I need to get closer. Need more rage. Control rage. Not ready yet. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage.
You found them? And all the bars are here, which doesn't surprise me. I didn't think the Razormanes would know what to do with fine steel like this. Thank you, adventurer. Here is your reward. May it serve you well.
rage. That ability isn't ready. Need more rage. I need to get closer. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage.
Hail. Be careful.
Too far away.
Probably for the best. Though it's hard to say that he's not taking pleasure in the situation. When all is done, King Balin pledges his men to our cause, and sends me away with a mace from House Iduken. God, that was a fucking long ride. I am glad that it's over, but I have to say that I did have a good time all in all. Let's head back to camp and at long last finally crack into what each of my companions is all about. There is a lot to delve into.
The times we live in are as fickle as the shifting winds, adventurer. It is important to remember what is true and lasting in this world, and to preserve that. Everything else is a waste. Long ago, the Barrens was a lush place, teeming with life, but war and cataclysm raged across the land, scorching it and leaving a dry husk. Such is the way of things, and it saddens my heart. But within the past few years, new oases have formed in the Barrens, and life stirs, and deep down, we drew its sense of power leaking its way to the surface. We must find its source, travel to the Forgotten Pools, northwest of the crossroads, search its waters for a source of power, then return here.
My mother's stories curled
May the eternal sun shine.
No little girl
What you want?
about the wilder men.
You be careful,
Using them until they were spent, then killing them. No little girl wants to be told that this is also expected of her once she comes of age.
I see.
No, you don't. You really don't.
The truth is, Flemeth was
as the
greeted
wind
with
of
a
eternal
fire
suns
in a
will
chunk of
shine
time that was
upon
uncivilized and surrounded by danger. Templars would hunt them down, seeing as they wouldn't submit to the chantry and become part of the circle. And Flemeth would send her young daughter out as bait to run screaming into the woods, which would eventually lead these Templars to their deaths. It's both the reason that she has such disdain for Alistair, and the reason that
Welcome to the Crossroads, adventurer. My name is Thork. I lead the defenses here in the name of the War Chief. Please, feel free to make yourself at home. As long as you mind your business, no one should have any problem with you taking up some space. There are many threats to our safety here. If you've already become familiar with the lay of the land, speak to the others here. Perhaps they have tasks for you to do. All the Quillbores are our enemies, adventurer. Some just prove to be more of a nuisance than others. The Razormane tribe has been attacking our supply lines from Durotar, causing us no end of annoyance. I have scouts seeking the leader of these raids. But until then, any losses you can inflict on the filthy pigmen would aid us. Start in the northeast towards Durotar. You can always tell their dens from the huge, thorny vines that come up from the earth. Seek them out and slay them.
Go forth to victory.
That attack on the caravan contained supplies we desperately needed. You've been brave enough to take on the Razormane tribe so far, and I will ask you to do so again, but this time, I wonder if I could ask you to keep your eyes open for some of our lost supplies. You can probably find them throughout their camps. The Quillbore getting fat off their dishonorable acts. The people of the Crossroads would be in your debt.
Strength.
who was offered a large sum of money by the Lord to sell her to him. She actually agreed, and the arrangement was made.
I have need to send a crate of potions, reagents, and other items to my associates in the old world. Little time I have to actually see them to the dock at Ratchet, and the last caravan has already left. If you could, please take this to Wharf Master Dizzywig. He will ensure that it is placed on the next part of Blackwater
Clemens
Cove.
claims that this never happened, instead stating that the hero killed his own people to gain power, and then blamed the Civil War on her to make himself look good. It's an interesting divide in lore, and it's hard to say what exactly is true. But these tales only further reflect on why Morrigan
I
is
have
the
need
one
to send a crate of potions, reagents, and other items to my associates. The oases of the Barrens hide a mystery. Life energy flows from their waters, invigorating the plants and beasts that drink it, invigorating and altering. There is a mushroom that grows near these oases. Its spores hold properties that we, the apothecaries of Lordaeron, find useful. Bring me these spores and you will earn our gratitude.
As a vessel to keep herself young. When Morrigan finds out that she was nothing more than a shell for her mother to live on in, she's understandably furious. She immediately lays out a plan for you to go slay her mother without her, so that she can't instantly possess Morrigan's body when she falls. When you go to confront Flemeth, she's already wary of your approach. She doesn't deny the charges, but she does chastise you for blindly obeying Morrigan. Your options are to fight her or to simply bring her grimoire back to Morrigan and lie about you killing Flemeth. I opt for fighting her, which is,
She will earn what she takes.
I'd have it no other way.
Yeah, so at one point I heard this Atari AI dragon and the Dark Souls method of staying near legs and rolling when it tries to intercept you holds true. Eventually, my platoon of archers stand back while I pretend that I did something to it while striking the final blow. Honestly, fuck this fight though, Jesus. Shit took me like 45 minutes. Morrigan is a side that really comes out. Because above all else, freedom as a person and practical decisions is
not enough
that
rage.
said, when you do manage to get closer, those soft moments are more noticeable. She goes from answering your questions with curiosity to being super awkward about interpreting a new emotion for her. She starts by explaining stuff she's full of wonder when it came to civilization. At one point, she wound up stealing a gem-encrusted mirror from a noble, and she was fascinated with the object. Her mother smashed the mirror on the ground and scolded her for potentially exposing her child over a trinket. It's interesting because Morrigan then claims that she's grateful for that lesson, even if it did hurt her as a child. What's even more interesting is that taking her mother's side gets you less empathy than sympathizing with her younger self, even if she agrees with her mother's thoughts now. It just goes to show that even if she does come off as harsh and practical,
Too far away.
she still wants to feel sympathized for to some degree. Even though your physical relationship with her begins with her telling you that she's just acting on her desires, and that it has nothing to do with love. Because I don't think that the concept is really registered with her at this stage in her life beyond a very practical and logical view of the emotion. It doesn't last for very long as it becomes blatantly obvious that Morrigan cares for you on a deeper level, even if she won't admit it.
Not
She
enough
gives your
rage.
character a ring, stating bluntly that she can locate you with it if you get lost. She then immediately goes, sentimentality or anything. It's just that, you're useful to our cause. That's all. Sure, buddy, I understand. Eventually, Morrigan outright admits that she loves you, but proclaims it to be a foolish emotion that's only a hindrance. You can either relationship, or you can insist that you love her too. She constantly mumbles about you being an idiot over. She's basically an anime. One whole anime. But she's a pretty cute one at times for all of the bullshit that she blatantly can't seem to wrap her head around. All in all, Morrigan is probably one of the best characters in this game. She's agonizing to listen to when dealing with others, and she shows her disapproval when it comes to literally any assistance towards otherwise helpless people. It's unfortunate because I can see why this would cause someone to not even close to her. But when you do, it actually turns out that the harpy does have powers, making your relationship with her that much more complicated.
Not ready yet.
On the surface, Alistair is just a goofball who thinks that his sarcasm grates on
Not
you.
enough
But he
rage.
also has a kind heart and tends to keep people's interests in mind.
That's what I'm here for, to deliver unpleasant news and
The man doesn't really keep too much to himself. If there's something on his mind, he'll tell you, which makes it pretty easy to gain influence with him, albeit in small ways. He's actually pretty damn cute in the way he comes up when you chat with him about certain topics, such as commiserating with him over the loss of Duncan. He's not very fond of killing others or threatening others. A true picture of a paladin, albeit with a bit more sass and a bit less respect for the chantry itself. While not the most complex character, I think it's a pretty solid picture of a good universe that is driving into pretty horrible places. He does have some deep-rooted issues, or I guess he did rather. Like we found out, he's the bastard child of the former king, the half-brother of Caleb. Though he doesn't state it at the time that I talked to him, instead claiming that he was the bastard of a nobleman who wanted nothing to do with him. His mother died when he was young, and he wound up in the care of Arl Eamon, as stated previously. Arl fell in love with Arletta Isol, who Alistair thought hated him simply because she thought that Alistair was secretly Eamon's son. At age 10, the Arl felt like he had no choice but to send Alistair off to the Chantry to be raised as a Templar, which caused the young Alistair to hate his adoptive father for a while. He actually got so upset that the only memento he had of his mother, which shattered. You can actually find this pendant fully repaired by the Arl at Redbridge Castle. Alistair himself is actually pretty mature about this, as he claims that he was a short-sighted boy. Eventually, the Arl stopped visiting Alistair, as he would constantly give Eamon grief for sending him to the Chantry every time he visited. From there, Alistair would consistently make trouble for the Chantry, and he would be punished all the time for it by having to scrub and clean.
Not enough rage.
Thought that he was a smug noble, while the rich families made fun of him for being a bastard. But he pushed on and got solid in the discipline of training, eventually getting rescued from his misery by Duncan, who took him as a warden. The Wardens were like a new family for Alistair. He claims that with all of them having the same kind of story of being cut off from their real families, that they bonded together pretty closely. Of course, this kind of talk also causes Alistair to sink back into the depression of losing it all after the good times that he had, which is understandable. But it does get to be a bit of a drag at times, and you can choose to cruelly give Alistair shit for moping around instead of comforting him if you're a heartless bastard. Also, he hasn't had sex. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but his strangeness and awkwardness around the subject is adorable. And he immediately takes the whole line of, I wouldn't rush into it, and we might all die anyways, and, can we move on? News that we get from Alistair, which they don't tell you until after you've joined the Wardens, is that the Darkspawn blood which you consume will eventually kill you. The average lifespan after the joining for a Warden is 30 years, which is insane.
I'm out of
range. I'm actually not sure how long elves in the Dragon Age universe live for. Elves live for a really long time, though. But it's typically longer than humans in other fantasy media.
Not enough rage.
Dying after 30 years seems cruel for them if it's a real cause. When we make it back from Redcliffe, you can grill Alistair for the reason why he cut the part where he's the heir to the throne from you. To which he states that everyone always treats him so differently after finding out, and that he was afraid to tell you because of it. He doesn't want anything to do with the throne, or inheriting it. He just wants to fade into obscurity, something that many people don't want at all in this world. Eventually, the last of Alistair's worries lies in Denelin, where he finds out that his half-sister is currently living. He's actually never met her, which is, kind of an interesting oversight by BioWare, seeing as we saw her in his fake dream when we went to rescue her. So I suppose we'll get to that. But beyond this outline, Alistair he loves his gossip and hates it. He really shouldn't be growing close to her while also getting input on some of the other members of the family. He's a good guy who's a bit of a doofus, but I enjoy his character a lot.
Do you remember me? I'm more
Need more rage.
I initially found Liliana's personality to be boring.
Dresses, fine dresses and furs.
I need to get closer. Possibility isn't ready yet.
For the shoes. Living this ridiculous life was worth it for the shoes.
Not enough rage.
Not
ready yet.
Sometimes a girl just...
I can't do it yet.
I don't know if that's controversial or anything, but she's a religious woman who used to travel around as a bard and got into trouble before the She didn't quite get along with the country and found a lot of their ideas to be wrong in her eyes. She was at least at peace there. I don't know, her whole joining story of, oh man, one time I had a bad dream, and then when I woke up, a flower bloomed on a dead bush, and now I just want to kill the darkspawn. I don't know, it just seems, like they were trying to give her some reason for coming with you. Like Alistair, she never really knew her biological parents, instead being raised by a noblewoman in the foreign nation of France. Now that said, this was just my initial impression. As time goes on, it becomes evident that she's definitely hiding something that she doesn't want to talk about. She glosses over her fighting skill expertise, chalking it up to simply gaining experience while traveling around before curtly ending the conversation. Pressing her for further details reveals that there's a difference between a singing minstrel and a bard, at least in Orlais, the country that she's from. Sure, she can spin a tale with the best of them, but she talks about how bards are specifically utilized as spies who infiltrate and steal and gain information.
Loktar! You have done well, adventurer. Those insolent Quillbores will finally learn that the might of the Horde is not to be ignored.
One of my scouts witnessed an attack on a caravan from Durotar, adventurer. The culprits are indeed the Razormane tribe of Quillbores. One of the Quillbores in particular is leading the raids, Kreenig Snarlsnout. He was seen northeast of here, just south of the road from Durotar. If the threat is to be ended, then Kreenig must die. To be sure the attacks cease, though, I say we add insult to their injury. Kill Kreenig along with more of their tribe, and return to me when you have his tusk.
The blasted harpies have been ravaging our caravan supplies for too long. It's time we slit a few of their throats and diminished their numbers. I've been snooping around their nests and figured out who leads who. The most devastating attack will destroy a good section of their lower chain of command, and then we can work our way to the top. I'll start you off slow. Take out Witchwing harpies and Witchwing rogue feathers in the northwest, and bring me 8 Witchwing talons. That should be a good start.
Very good, adventurer. With the Plain Striders gone, we'll have an easier time keeping our supply chains intact. And I hope you learned a few tricks out there in the Barrens, for your next prey has a little more fire in its blood than the Plain Striders. The Gevra, although not the fiercest beast in the Barrens, are a shade tougher than the Plain Striders. Don't worry, we'll send you against bigger prey in good time. But for now, your teeth could use a little more cutting. Hunt the Gevra to the north and south, and collect their hooves. Bring them to me, and perhaps we'll next send you against something tougher.
I'm out of range. Need rage. Not enough rage.
However they can, and it becomes apparent that that's exactly how she came into the skill set that she has. I still wasn't super impressed by her character at this stage, but she is fun to listen to when it comes to various stories and legends and all that. Well, eventually she spits out even more backstory. It turns out that while she was doing her bardic spying, she came upon some sealed documents that she was told to return to her mentor after killing a dude for them. Curiosity got the better of her and she decided to open them. Well, it turns out that her mentor was not only selling information to Orlais about other countries, but she was also selling info about Orlais to other countries. She wasn't as concerned about her country's secrets being leaked as she was about her mentor being in danger. Also, I believe her mentor and her were lovers, so that's probably meant. So she confronted her mentor with her worries, who told her that she would be fine, that her double dealing was in the past. Well, one day some guards approached Liliana, who showed her the documents which had been altered to implicate her as the agent. Her mentor had sold her out, and she was tortured for it and branded a traitor. Eventually, she fled at the first chance that she got, which is when she found a new purpose in religion and the Chantry. That actually does make a lot more of an interesting character in my eyes, or at least a lot more interesting of a background story. And while she wanted revenge, she was afraid of her mentor's skills. This whole ordeal is actually depicted more in depth in one of the DLCs, in which she gets to during her betrayal. But I'll get to that some other time. At one point, Liliana's mentor sends a group of mercenaries after us. The merc in charge spits out that the person who killed him is in Dennery, which is where their game is holed up. So much like Alex's quest, we'll go over what happens there later, as it's still pretty far down the line at this stage. For now, I'd say that Liliana certainly has a lot of unique stories and an interesting background, but it doesn't really make her personality any more interesting in my eyes. She's not a bad character by any means, but I would just rather listen to what she says about other areas and people rather than hear her talk about herself, I guess. I guess the biggest thing for me personally is that she just trusts way too easily for someone who was betrayed by somebody who she trusted the most. It just feels like, oh, I don't really have a character, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, I was betrayed and all this stuff. And you would think that this would cause her character to be more suspicious of you. And she's not. She's very open, immediately trustful. I don't know.
Out of range.
It doesn't feel like it actually affected her. It sounds like a traumatic experience, but the character doesn't actually really reflect this. That's a good boy right there. Now, I referred to Sten before as someone I really liked as a character. I said this because he's so much of an antisocial person that I can't help but laugh at his answers.
Sitting, as you observed, Kunari have no kings. Little patience for endless questions. Yes.
Getting answers out of him is like trying to squeeze blood out of a stone, and his very curt and annoyed demeanor only makes me want to ask him more questions. Of course, if you want him to actually like you, you have to take most of his direct answers at face value and move on, before he'll actually talk to you. Sten is a member of the Kunari army, whose leader demanded that he go out and find out what the Blight is. After seeing the battle where Kalen fell, he got his answer, but he couldn't report back to his people for reasons unknown. As time goes on, Sten begins to demand more answers from me, such as how I intend to stop the Blight. When I answer him, he claims that the Grey Wardens are less impressive than he once thought. The approval route here is telling him that you don't give a shit, which is always fun. Eventually, after gaining more approval, he admits that you're not as immature as he initially thought, and tells you what happened up until the moment that he was killed. So he was sent here with a group of soldiers, his brothers as he calls them. They were to investigate the Blight, and were getting nowhere. Suddenly they were jumped by the Darkspawn, and everyone was slain except for him. When he woke up on the battlefield, his sword was missing. A Kunari soldier's sword is his lifeblood, and no soldier would ever return home without it, as Sten puts it. He also claims that his sword is specific to him.
Too far away.
If he were to return home without it, he would be strung up more or less as someone who is useless as a Kunari. I let him know that we'll go look for it, as he marks vaguely where the thing is supposed to be.
Not enough rage.
The reason why Sten killed the farming and almost PTSD. The Darkspawn battle was traumatized, and the loss of his comrades and sword put him into a mentally weakened state. When he asked the family where his sword was, they claimed that they never found it. He did believe them, but something inside of him snapped, causing him to murder them. He knew that it wasn't right, and he regretted it immediately. It's a tough situation because murdering a family out of hate is not a great move, but actually getting to know Sten makes the man seem like someone misguided or a victim of circumstance. Still, I would have to say for as much as Sten exudes this machismo of soldiers are strong and do their job without hesitation, this mental lapse seems like something that would go against that. At this stage, Sten is talking a bit more. Asking him what he likes about Ferelden is especially entertaining to me.
There is interesting food here. You have a thing. It doesn't have a word in the Kunari tongue. Little baked things like bread, but sweet and crumbly. Yes, we have no such things in our lands. This should be remedied.
But a lot of what he has to say about Ferelden really shows the way that his people think. He claims that the farmers in Ferelden all want to be merchants, that the merchants want to be nobles, and that the nobles want to be warriors, even if what they're all best at is farming, selling, and ruling respectively, which is an oddly deep way of thinking about things. I mean, it's true, and that's the way a lot of people work in real life too. It's a complex chain of thought for someone who's content with being simple. His lot in life is being a soldier, which is all that he wants. He sees no reason to try and open a shop or become an entertaining bard if he's best at fighting. Though oddly enough, with this thought process, he could likely become a philosopher as well. Eventually, we nab Sten's sword after running through a couple of NPCs who moved it around. Sten is grateful but doesn't quite know how to express it. He then states bluntly as always that he will stay with you to put an end to the blight, so that he can report back that it was nothing to worry about. He calls you a great soldier, stating that he misjudged you at first, before ominously hinting at the prospect that